Hello guys, in this session we are going to talk about variables and data types. Now what are variables? Variables are containers for storing data values. Unlike other programming languages that uses a command to declare variables, Python does not have that. You can just say a is equal to 10. With this, you have successfully assigned a value 10 to the variable a. When you hover your mouse around a, it will tell you a variable. And then you can also say b is equal to wings. Now, wings here is a string, but you see that it has double inverted commas. You can also do the same thing, let's say C, but in this area you can use a single inverted comma and say Davis. This is also not an error because in Python you can use single quote and then double quote for strings. So if I output all of these, it should give me a successful run. Can run the code, and then you can see we have 10 Wings and Davies. That means I have successfully declared a variable. Now let me clear this. Now with those of you who didn't successfully install the code runner, you can do this. You can type Python in the terminal, Python, then you add the file name. In my case it is variables.py, so I'll say Python variables.py. So when I press enter, it should give me the same output as I used with the code runner. So that is that. Now let's talk about variable names. Variable names can have a short name, like what I did, A, B, and C. So all these are variable names. A, B, and C are all variable names. You see? Good. Now, you can make it more descriptive so that in the future when you are reading your code, you'll be able to understand. Because when you use A is equal to 10 and then B is equal to, you see, it makes it vague. You can't decipher what it literally means. Now you can say A, so I can say A, then I'll bring underscore, then I say number, so that it will be a number. You understand? With the B, I can remove or clean the B, then I'll say first underscore name, so that my first name will be Wings. Then with the C, I can clear it and then do last underscore name, so that my last name will also be Davis. So you see that there are errors under the A, B, and C in print. Now it means that the A, B, and C has not been defined. That is why there's an error. So if I add the other variable names, it will be off. You see? Very good. So when I run the code, it shouldn't give me any error. You see? So 10 Wings and then Davis. And also, in Python, variables shouldn't start with a number. It will give you an error. When I bring 1 here, you see, it has been underlined. That means it's an error. And also, you can use alphanumerics to declare variable. But note, it shouldn't start with a number. So I can say alphanumerics. I can say boy1 is equal to Ishaq. You see, so when I run the code, Ishaq should be added. Sorry, I didn't print it. That's why Ishaq didn't come. So I'll add print, then boy1. So when I run the code, you see Ishaq has been added. So that is how we use variable names in Python. Now let me clear these. Now let's try to assign values to multiple variables. With Python you can do that. Let's say x minus comma y comma z is equal to orange, apple, Samsung. You see, so when I print all the variables x, y, and z, it should give me orange, apple, and Samsung separately because they are different variables assigning to different values. So let's say print x, print y, print z. When I run the code here, it should give me orange, apple, and Samsung. Now I can also assign same value to multiple variables in one line. So with this one, I can say I can comment all these, and then I'll say A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to East Code Technologies. Then I'll say print A, print B, then print C. When I run the code here, it should give me East Code Technologies 3 times because different variables are assigned to the same value. That is how we can assign variables to the same value. And then we have something in Python called string concatenation. Now with string concatenation, it allows us to add 2 letters together. So let's say I have, let me clear all these. I have A, or let's say company name is equal to East Code. I can say that print the company name is, then I'll bring the variable what company name. You can actually make your variable a little shorter because this one is long. So when I run this code, it will say the company name is East Code, but you realize that the is and then the East Code has been combined. Now you can come here where the is and press space. It will actually open the space for you. You see, or you can stop using that and then you can do something like this. The addition operator, you bring a string, then you place a space inside the string. So when you run the code, it will actually give you a space. That is how it is done. Now you see this one, we added the variable to a statement. Now let's consider adding 2 variables together. let's use my full name. So let's say first underscore name is equal to Kofi middle name Aban, then the last name Davis. Then let me combine and then print all of my names in one sentence. So I'll say print first name plus, to create a space, plus mid name, bring my addition operator, open up a string for a space, then last name. So when I run the code, it should tell me the company name is Eastcoast, this one, and then Kofi Aban Davis, my full name here. This is what we call string concatenation. Now, to comment a Python code, in order not to be run, you will highlight it or select it, then you press Ctrl plus the slash to add the hash before the variable or the statement you have written, or you can just bring your mouse pointer here before the statement, then shift plus the to actually bring your hash. It's all the same, so that when I run the code again, only Kofi Aban Davis will come. So that is how we do string concatenation. We use the mathematical operator to combine it. Now let's try to combine a letter and then a number. There's a trick here. In Python, you cannot combine a string with an integer. It will give you an error. Let's try that. So let's say A is equal to 10 and then B is equal to Kofi. So I'll say print A plus B, and I'll run the code. You see, it gave me an error. Now, the error says that type error, unsupported operand, type S for integer and then string. So in Python, you cannot combine integer and then string. It will give you an error. So that is for string concatenation. Now, imagine that you do not actually know the kind of data type you are using. In Python, you can actually get to know the data type you are using. Now let's try this. You see, we did print A plus B. Let me clear the A plus B here, and then inside this one, print, I'll say print type. Then bring my bracket, then A. So print type A. So I want to know the kind of data type I'm using for A. You see, it has printed out class integer, and we can all agree that figure 10 here is an integer, a number. I can do same for B. I can say print type B, and then I'll run the code. When I run the code, it will tell me B is what? A string. And then we can all agree to that because Kofi is actually a letter. So that is how we determine the kind of data type we are using. And also, doing all these, we can do the same thing in the Python shell. So I can run Python here. Then I can say A is equal to 89. Then I can say type A. It will print class of what? Integer for me. Very good. So that is how we do it. Now you ask yourself why I didn't bring the print, because in the Python shell the print here is not necessary. Yes, so you can forget about that. Now let's exit from the shell and then let's do what data types really are. Now Python has built-in data types. We have the string, this one, string. We have strings, we have integer, we have float, we have list, we have tuples, we have range, and then so many others. We have set, boolean, byte array, and the memory view. We have all these, but let's consider them one by one. So as we did getting to know the kind of data type we are using, I will say x is equal to 100 first. Then I'll print the kind of data type I'm using. So print type of what? X. So when I run the code, it should tell me class integer. Now we can set our data type. It is just simple as saying, let's say A is equal to hello world. The conventional phrase every beginner learns. So print A. So when I run this code, it should tell me hello world. So that is how you set variables. Now you see that I have set variable x and I have assigned value 100 to it. Now in assigning float, so let's do it one by one. So string, I can say string is equal to coffee, print string. So coffee is here. I can say int is equal to 20. Then I'll say print int. I have also set a variable here. It gave me 20. Now let's do for float. Float is equal to 100.9. So when we print float, run the code, it will say 100.9. Now let us try to print the types so that you actually know that it is not really the variables that we have assigned, but it is really the kind of data type you are using. So with the first one, the variable is string. So let's print type string. And the next one too is integer. So type int. Then print type float. So there's a mistake here. Okay. So when I run this one too, you realize that it is actually a string an integer, and then a float. Good. Now I would want us to learn something about lists, tuples, sets, and then dictionary. So first, list. Let's talk about a list. Now in Python, lists are represented with square brackets. So for example, let's say AB is a variable, then we assign the value of a list to it. So using my square bracket, I would say Kofi Ama Ghana. You see, so when I print AB, it will actually give me a list here. Then let us get to know the kind of type we are really using. So print type AB. So when I run the code, it will actually tell me I am running what? I'm using, list. So that is how list works. Now let's talk about tuples. So I would say that CD is equal to, now with tuples, it is represented with this. It is called parentheses. Now let's try and use the variables, the content we use for the list, for the tuples. So I'll copy it and then paste it here. And I'll say print CD. Print, then the type we are using. So CD. So when I run the code, it will tell me I am using what? A tuple. That is how tuple works. So mind you, list uses the square bracket, and then tuples uses parentheses. Now let's talk of sets. So sets. Now sets uses the curly bracket. This. So set, you see st is equal to, then we bring our curly bracket, then we paste the same contents inside, then print st, then we get to know the kind of data type we are using for the set. We are using set actually, but I want to confirm that it is actually what? A set. So I'll print the output. You see, it has told me it's a set. Now I want to give you an assignment, and then I'll wait for a little bit for you to try it yourself, then we continue. Use this. Dictionary. Dictionary also uses the curly bracket. So let's try this. Try to assign dt and add a variable to, and add a value to the variable dt, and let me see. I am waiting for you. I'm giving you 10 seconds to try. Okay, so now let's do it. Now the secret in dictionary is that it also has the same elements as set, but in this case we will assign variables and then values inside a dictionary too. So let's see this. You see, what is Kofi? Kofi is a name here. Ama here is also a name. Then Ghana is a country, but Kofi is actually a boy's name, and then Ama is a girl's name. So we will say you assign a variable girl. Then we bring our colon. Then we will say Ama, because Ama is a girl's name. Then we will do the same thing. Boy, our colon, then Kofi. Then with the last one, you will say country. Then what? Ghana. You can even add integers to it. So let's say age. With age, it is represented with an integer, and then you can't use double inverted or single inverted comma for what? Integer. So just say 20. So when we try to print out the kind of data type, you will get what? A dictionary. So we say print type. Then DT. So let's get to know the kind of data type we are really using here. So when I run the code, it will tell me what? Class dictionary. You see, so these are some of the data types you can use. And then we also have these two other things that I want to show you: range and then boolean. Now, in order to set a range, we will say x is equal to range. Now with range, you will bring your parentheses to, then what range do you really want? So 0 from what? From 0 to 6. Or you can say from 1 to 5. That's our range. So even within that, we can do something like print x. When we run the code, it will say range is to what? 1, 5. So that is our range. We can even get to know the kind of data type. It will tell you range. See, class range. So that is that. Now let's talk of boolean. Boolean. This is it. So with boolean, it is actually just true and then false. That is all. So let's say x is equal to true, and then print x. When I run the code, it will tell me true. But let's try something here before we move on to booleans. Actually, I can say I want to test the boolean for you to see here. I can say 9 is less than 7. Do you think 9 is less than 7? 9 is greater than 7. It is not less than 7. So when I run the code, it will tell me what? False, because 9 is greater than 7. But when I change this one to greater and then run the code again, it will tell me what? True, because this time 9 is actually greater than 7. That is that. Now let's move on to Python numbers. Python numbers. Python numbers. Now, with Python numbers, we will consider integer and then float. Int and then float. And with that, we also try to consider how to convert integer to float. It is called type casting to be able to convert from one data type to another data type. So this is what we are going to do in our next session. Very good. So let's say x is equal to 4 and then y is equal to 67.9. You realize that this figure is different from this figure, right? Good. Now let's actually get to know what we are coming to do with the figure. So I'll say print and then type x. So now we really know that it is an integer. Good. Now an integer or int is a whole number, positive or negative without decimals, of an unlimited length. Good. And then float is also a number, positive or negative, containing one or more decimals. So that is float. Now this one contains a decimal, so it is actually what? A float. So that is how float is. Now let's consider how to convert from integer to float. Good. Now we have x is equal to 4 and then y is equal to 67.9. Good. Now let's say a or any variable. So convert a is equal to float, then x. So I'm trying to convert x to float. So when I run the code, I'll say print con a. So when I run the code, you see 4 here, an integer, has now turned to what? A float. You see, and also I can convert the y. So I'll say con b is equal to int, then y. Then I'll say print con b. So it actually convert a is equal to float, or I can say convert x, so that it will actually mean what we want. So con y, then I'll say con y, so that it will be defined. Good. So when I run the code now, you see the first one, integer, has now become a float here, and then the second one, a float, has become what? An integer here. So that is how we really convert integer to float, and then float to integers. Good. Now let's talk of random number. Now random in Python actually is an inbuilt module, yes, to be able to print random numbers. So we can say that before we can actually use the random module, we have to import it. We have to import the random. So we are coming to talk about how to be able to import the random and then use it. So I would say import random to be able to use it. Then I would say print random dot, you see, rand, then range You see, I've imported the random module so that it will be able to pick random figures from where? From range. This. You see, so it says that choose a random item from range, start, stop, and then step. So we can say that, fine, we are choosing a range from 1 to 10. Then the step, that is the interval between them, should it be 2 or 1? You understand? Good. So we can say that 1 to 20, that should be our range. So when we run the code, it has chosen its random figure, that is what? 14. Are we okay? It has chosen the random figure, that is 14. Now after the range, I would like to add the interval or the step. So let's say I'll make 2 as the interval. So when I run the code, you realize that now I have 1 here. So everything that you change here will determine the figure that you get here, because 1, it is being selected randomly, and 2, it is selected from a range, the start figure, the stop figure, and then the interval or the step. That is how it works. Now let's consider typecasting. Now with typecasting, we are going to consider converting integers, float, and then strings. So with the first one, let's convert anything, string or float, to integers. So let's say we have A is equal to 89, B is equal to 100.4, then C is equal to, let's say, 4 here. You see, this one is a raw integer, and this one is a float, and this one is a string. Good. Now let's convert everything here to an integer. If you want to do that, we have to bring the integer data type in front of the figure. So we say int, then we bring our bracket in front and then behind it. So you say int, and this one too. Now you realize that this one is an integer, so nothing will happen to it. This one is a float, so it will round it to the previous whole number. And this one is also a string, so it will remove the inverted commas from it. So let's say print A, print B, and then print C. Now let's run the code. When we run the code, we realize that now we have 89, 100, and then 4. That means you have been able to successfully change this one from float to integer, and now we have 100 here. And then we've been able to change this one from a string to an integer too. So that is typecasting for what? Integers. Now let's consider typecasting for float. So we have E is equal to 90, F is equal to 500.6. We have G is equal to, let's bring a string and then put a number inside, 45. And then let's also bring a variable H, then assign a value with a float in it. a string and then a float. You see, so let's say we have 67.8. Now let's change all these to float. So as we did for the first one, integer, that we brought the data types in front of the values, the same thing will happen here. We will say float so we'll bring the float data type, then we cover it with the parenthesis, that's our bracket. After that, then we print the variables assigned to it. So we say print E, print F, print G, print H. Now let's run it. When we run it, we realize that everything here has been changed to what? A floating number or a floating point. You see, 90 here is an integer, but it has now become what? 90.0. Then 500 has become 500.6 is a float, so it won't change. But we see that 45 here is actually a string, but it has been changed to what? A float. And then here is also a string with floating point in it. It has also been changed to a float. You see, that is how it is done. You can even bring the type in any of them to be able to check what kind of type it will output. So I'm trying with the G, you can try with the others. So when I run the code, it will tell me what? Float. So we realize that here is a string. G is actually a string here, but we assigned a float data type to it. So when we print the type, it will tell us what is a float, because you see, Python runs syntactically one by one. So when it reaches G, it will say that float has been assigned to this value too. Meanwhile, it is a string, but it will convert, then bring the output as what? A float. So that is how float or anything integer or string can be changed to float. Now let's move on to the typecast for strings. Let me clean this. Now let's say x is equal to, let's say x is good, y is equal to 2, then z is equal to 5.6. You see, we have a string here, integer here, and then a float here. Now in order to convert, we will do the same thing that we did previously. So we want to change to what? A string. So what we'll do is we'll bring the str in front of them, then we cover it with the string, sorry, the parenthesis str. You see, then we print the output. So print x, print y, print z. See, so when I run the code, it will tell me is equal to 5.6. You see, that is that. That is how you can also do a typecast for that. Okay, moving on to Python strings. Python strings. Now it is simple. You can say print hello, and then you can also say print hello. We already said that in Python strings can use single quote or what? double quotes. So when you run this, it will actually give us the same result. You see, very good. Now let's try to assign a variable to a string. So let's say a is equal to wings. Then if you want to output wings, we have to bring in the variable because we have assigned this value to the variable a. So we will say print a. Then when we run the code, we will get what? Wings. That is how assigning variable is done. Now let's try to assign multi-line strings. Multi-line strings. Okay, so with multi-line strings, we have two ways of doing it. We can use 3 double inverted commas for the beginning and also end it with 3 double inverted commas here. You see, there will be no error in it. So let's say welcome to Xcode Python Bootcamp. This was organized, or you can say this is organized by Xcode Technologies. We aim to enhance students' Python skills. Good. Now, when I print this, you see, it gave me no error. You see, welcome to Xcode Python Bootcamp. Then the rest. You see, it gave me no error. So, since we said that you can use double or single inverted commas, we can also use this one. Then we will change it to single ones here. So when I output this one too, you see, it will give me the same result. You see, so that is how we can use multi-line strings. Simple as that. Now let's talk about arrays for strings. We'll consider having time for arrays separately. Now, strings are arrays in Python. So let's say we have a is equal to Xcode Technologies. You see, then print a. Now print a or print Xcode Technologies, but we want to get to know where each letter is. So in arrays, we start every letter, anything with 0. So I is 0, then S will be 1, then Q will be 2, O will be 3, then it follows. You see, very good. That is how it is done. So let's say we want to output only D. So we say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you say A, then we bring our square bracket. So when we counted, we got 4. We input 4. So when we run the code, we will get what? D. You see, yes, that is how we get to know the position of each letter. Good. Now let's talk about the next thing. It is called slicing. Now slicing can specify the start index and then the end index. Yes, with slicing, we can get to know the letters within that range that we set. So let's say we said A is equal to is called technologies. You see, good. We say print, then A, then we'll bring our square bracket. Then where do we want to start the slicing from? We want to start the slicing from Q. So we will count 0, 1, and 2. So we start from Q. So Q is what? 2. So we will say 2. Then where do we want to end it? So we'll bring our what? Colon. Then where we want to end it, then we continue counting. So this one is 2 and 3, 4, 5. So we want to end it at 5. Then we come here and then say 5. Then we run it. So we realize that we got QOD, this, because the slicing start from here, Q, and it ends at here, E. E is the 5th letter, but it won't add the 5th letter. That is how slicing is done. So you can actually add more. You can remove the 5 and say 9. So when we run the code, we get code and then TE. So that is where you get to know that even the space here is also part. Yes, it's also a character. That is that. Very good. So that is what slicing. Now let's talk about negative indexing. Negative indexing. Now, with the negative indexing, we can start and then end the slicing from the end of the string. You see, so let's say we have B is also equal to is called technologies. You see, then let's do the negative slices. So print. So we'll start from here backwards. So we will say B, then we'll bring our square bracket. Then we'll say negative 3, negative what? 5, or anyhow we want it. So when we run the code, you see how, yes, this is how it will come. Good. Or we can see negative 5, then negative 3. When you run the code, you get O and then G. You see, O and then G. So you realize that this one is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, as I move it changes. Sorry. See, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, very good. So that is where the O comes here. Then the G. So 0, 1, 2, 3. You see, 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is how we got our OG. Sorry. Now let's talk about length. Checking the length of a string. You see, now checking the length of a string, we use the function len. This len. Very good. Then we can say C is equal to is called technologies 2. Then you say print. Print what? Length of what? C. So we're actually printing the length of C. Sorry. It says I have duplicated the ISCO technologies 3 times. So let me do ISCO technology. Yeah, so the error is gone. Okay. So when I run the code, let me also comment all these. Good. So when I run the code now, it should print me the length. So it has 17 characters in it. 17 here, including the spaces. You see, so that is how we print what? The strings. And actually get to know the length inside the string. Good. Let me comment this one too. Then let's move on. Now let's try to learn about stripping. Now, stripping means to delete the white spaces from the beginning or on the end. So let's say we have A is equal to ISCO technologies. But here, let me create a space here and then a space here. Very good. Now, I'll try to strip it so that there will be no white spaces. So I'll say print a dot strip. Then I'll bring my bracket again. See, note the function is this strip. You see, very good. That is how length is also done. So when I run the code, you realize that from here you won't see it, but if it were to be in a text, you would see it. Yes. So let me try to add a text for you to see. So B is equal to coffee. It should be in a string form. Coffee. You see there's a space here. Very good. Now I want to bring a space here. So coffee should be combined with the ISCO technologies. So to make sure that actually the strip did its function. So I'll say plus B. So when I run the code, you see it has combined. That means it has actually done what? Cleared the white space. So that is how the strip works. This was just by the way. Let's move on. Good. Now let's also talk about changing upper cases to lower cases and then changing lower cases to upper cases. Now the function is simple. We'll use this function lower, then you bring your bracket. So let me comment this and then let's use it. So let's say B is equal to weight. So I'll say print, should be small, so print B dot lower. Then I'll bring my bracket. Comment these so that it won't appear. So when I run the code here again, sorry, forgive me. Oh, why? Why is it giving me these? Yes. You see, it has changed the first character to what? a smaller one because it was upper. Now let's do the same thing for the upper. So I'll say A is equal to wings, making it small. So let's get to know we're actually doing upper. Good. So I'll say print what? So I'll say A dot upper, and I'll bring my bracket so that when I run the code, it should actually do what? Convert all these to what? Upper cases. So that is how it is done. And then we can even replace letters. Let's try it. Comment. Good. Let's say C is equal to wings. Yes. And then let's try to replace the W with S. Very good. W with S. So you can say print C dot replace. So let's get to know that we're using replace. So replace. And I'll comment it so that I won't prohibit the code. So C dot replace. With this one, I'll have to indicate that I want to replace the W with what? S. So I have to indicate it here. So I'll say W. This is what I want to replace. W. Then what am I replacing with? S. So I'll bring S here. So when I run the code here, you see the W has changed to what? S. It has become sings. You see? Yes. That is how it is done. Now you can also split the string. You can split the string. So let's say we have two different, let's say, words in a string. So let's say I have D. I have D is equal to Wings Davis. Wings Davis. And this is the function that we are using, split. So what I will do from here is that I'll say print D dot split. The reason why we bring the variable is that we want to indicate that it is actually what? The variable that we are working with. So we want to split the variable, or we want to change the we want to replace it. So you should bring the variable because this is what we are working with. In this case, the upper, we brought A because A was assigned to wings and it was the variable. Very good. And that is the same way we'll do here. So D dot split. Then here, I'll bring my parenthesis, double inverted comma. Then I'll bring a comma in between. So this will actually split Wings and Davis as what? Different strings. So it will actually decompress these into what? Substrings. You see? Good. So when I run the code, you see it changed it into a list. You see? Yes. You remember that we said list uses what? The square brackets. Good. You see? So it has changed it to what? Substrings. So that is how the split works. Good. Now, Python is so nice that we can even check if there is a character in the list of words that we have. Yes, let's try it. So let's say we have this Wings Davis. So I'll copy this one. Then I'll comment this. Then I'll come down and say, let's say name is equal to this Wings Davis. Good. Wings Davis. So in order to add a string in VS Code, you highlight or select it, then you type it. That's you use the shift plus the double inverted comma. Yes, that is what I did. Now name is equal to Wings Davis. You see, so I want to check if Davis or AVI is in the value that I have assigned to name variable. I can say any variable. So x is equal to what? AVI not in what? Name. You see, so we are saying x. So this one is actually what? Boolean. So we are checking if AVI is not in name, but it is actually what? In. So you should give me what? Guess. What should be your answer? Is it true or false? If you got it right, then it means that you are really following. So when I print it, it should actually give me what? False. You see, it's AVI not in name. AVI not in name. We are saying it is not in name. So it will actually do what? Print false, because we are saying it is not in. You got confused, right? Very good. You are actually following. But if we say AVI in name, it will actually print what? True, because AVI is a name. That is how it works. That's how it works. So the X here says that AVI in name. So in here can be used in Python. We have in, is not, is. Yes. We have all these. I will introduce you to all that. So don't worry. So we are saying X is equal to AVI in name. We can actually do the same thing so that you won't be so confused. So I can say NAM is equal to Wings Davis. And I'll tell it again, Y is equal to AVI not in NAM. So print Y. So when I run the code, tell me what? False, because we are saying it is not in it. So don't get confused. Get to know the kind of function that we are using, or the phrase that you're using. This one is called checking string in Python. Checking string. Good. Now let's move on. We've already talked about string concatenation. Yes, string concatenation. So this is it. String concatenation. Good. Where we added two variables. A is equal to, let's say, Ghana. Then A is equal to country. But mind you, small a and then capital A, uppercase A, lowercase a are two different variables. Note, they are two different variables. They are not the same. So when I say, let's say, B is equal to A plus A, it didn't give me an error. You realize that? Good. So I'll say, then what? Print B. So I am actually doing what? Combining them. Now in combining strings, it is called string concatenation. That is the proper word to be used. Good. So when I run the code, you realize that it says Ghana country. Yes, where I taught you that if you realize that it has been combined, you can actually bring your operation sign, additional sign. Then you bring the string, then you create a space in it. It will actually bring a space between them. So Ghana country. That is how it works. Now, as we are done with the string concatenation, let's move on to formatting strings. Formatting strings. How to format strings. Now we have so many ways of formatting strings. For example, if you already have assigned a value to a variable, let's say age is equal to 89. And then you have assigned name as what? John. You can say that, let's say myself is equal to, so myself is what? A variable, and we are coming to assign a value to it. You see, you can say myself is equal to blah blah blah. You see, this one, you can say my name is, you see, space, then name, you bring your operation sign, and you say I am age. This one will give you an error because in Python we cannot combine integers to what? Strings. Sorry. Print myself. Good. Sorry. You see, it gave me an error. So you see, it can only concatenate string, not integer. You realize that? Good. So this is the kind of errors that you should be checking out. Now, in order to fix that, what we have to do is simple. We have to do it this way. So you say print. Then you say myself dot what? Format. Then what do you want to format? We have the name here, but it shouldn't be there. So we will say name. You realize that? Good. Then we come here and then we bring our curly bracket. Then we clear this from there. Good. Then we can also actually add the age. Then we bring it here too. So when we now run the code, it will say my name is what? John. I am 89. So my name is John. I am 89. You see, that is how you can format it. Yes, because if you try to concatenate integer and then a string, you get an error. So please note that. Note that. We can also do it this way. We can also say that we have age is equal to 89. Let's add one thing. Hobby. So hobby should be what? It's a gaming. You see, good. Now here we can decide to do it this way. Add the hobby here. Very good. Then we can choose from here what we really want to appear. So let's say my name is I am good. So let's add a hobby. So I like this. You see, good. So we can actually choose what we really want to appear inside. You realize that? Good. So guess what you are coming to do inside this. So my name is what? So when you are counting, here we'll start from what? 0. So we'll print 0 here. Then age 1. Then this one 2. Then we run it. You see, it says my name is John, I am 89, I like gaming. So you have to know where you placed each variable so that you get to know where you are placing the numbers in, so that you won't get an error. These are called index numbers. You see, the first one, name, is at index what? 0. It doesn't matter where you placed and assigned the variables. It only matters here. So where you place it shows where it is going to be. So let's say hobby was here, hobby, and then age, and then name. You see, it didn't place it well. So when you run the code, you will see my name is gaming, I am 89, I like John. You see, this one doesn't make sense. So you have to know where you placed it so that you'll be able to know where you are placing each index number. So here in this case, name is actually at index number what? 2. So we'll say 2. And then age, here it should be here. So it says 1. Then hobby is actually at index what? 0. So we will bring 0 here. And now when you run the code, it will make sense. It says my name is John, I am 89, I like gaming. So that is how we do what? Format strings. Good. That's how we format strings. Now, if we have been able to talk about strings, now let's move on to booleans. Boolean. We've practically talked about boolean, but I want to show you a little expression so that it will light up your day. So we can say print as what we did, 9 is less than 7 is greater than 7, or blah blah blah. So you can say that 4 is less than 5. Then print, you see, 4 is greater than 5. Then the last one, you can say print 4 is equal to what? 5. Now when I run it, it says true, false, false. 4 is practically less than 5, so we all know it's true. But 4 is not greater than 5. And then 4 is not equal to what? 5. So you can't tell me that it should print what? True. No. It is not possible. It's not possible. So we can actually do a print statement. Sorry, a decision making statement. That is using the if and else to get to know if it will really work. But we will really do the decision making. That's what we call control flow statement. We will do that when the time comes. But I want to do a little demonstration for you to see. So let's say we have x is equal to 100. Then y is equal to 89. So I'll say that if x is less than y, I'll bring my colon. Yes. Print x is lesser than y. Else print x is greater than y. Good. So this one we also use the boolean to check the condition. So the condition is this: x is less than y. So if x is lesser than y, it will print. If x is greater than y, it will print. So give me your answer. What will be the answer? Okay, if you guess the answer, then that means, if you guess the answer correct, that means you are really following. So when I run the code, it will tell me x is what? Greater than y. Yes, because x is 100 and then y is 89. 100 is practically greater than 89. Yes, so that is that. And then one thing that you have to know about boolean is that most values are true. Most values are true. So you can say, let's say bool ABC. Yeah, then you print bool. Sorry, I've made a mistake. It shouldn't be this way. It should be this way rather. Print bool, then the string. It's a AMA. Then when I run the code, it will tell me what it is true. So most values in bool are true unless they are empty, which will print what? False. So this one is true. So unless they are practically empty, it will print false. So when I run the code, it will tell me what? False, because there's nothing in there, 0. You see? Yes. And if you say it is false too, it is false. Yeah. See false, it will print false for you. If you say none, none means 0. So practically you get what? False. You see? That is that. So that is all for boolean. And then thank you for joining today's session. In the next session, we'll be talking about operators. So sit tight and then enjoy. Have a nice day.